Welcome, students, to this explainer on mastering pulleys. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this material today. You know, if you've ever looked up at a massive construction crane, or even just a complex elevator system, and wondered, how in the world do they lift such incredibly heavy loads with seemingly minimal effort? Well, you are exactly in the right place. Today, we're going to break down the exact physics behind these simple yet brilliantly effective machines. All right, let's dive right into this.
Section 1. Pulley Basics and Tension.
So first things first, a pulley is defined as a simple machine. It's essentially just a disc rotating about an axle, with a rope passed around its grooved rim. Notice the core anatomy here on the screen. The central axle holds the disc within a rigid frame, and the rope sits snugly right there in the groove. The concepts explained to him lay the absolute foundation for everything that follows. But hey, remember, rule number 1, we completely neglect the mass of the string and any friction. We are working strictly under ideal conditions only for now. So basically what we have learned here is the core anatomy of a pulley and the ideal conditions we're going to assume for all these problems.
Moving on, we arrive at what I like to call the absolute secret to pulley math. As long as the string is continuous and inextensible, meaning it doesn't stretch, the tension, denoted by a capital T, is the exact same everywhere in the string. Take a look at those two red arrows pointing up, both labeled T. This brings us to a really crucial cheat code. To find your mechanical advantage, or MA, you literally just count the number of T's pulling up on the load. Guys, this is very important for the exam point of view because it takes complex problems and makes them so much simpler. Quick warning though, if the tension wasn't the exact same everywhere, the string would actually move even when the pulley isn't rotating. So basically what we have learned here is that tension is the exact same everywhere in a single continuous string.
Section 2. Fixed versus movable pulleys.
All right, here we have type 1, the single fixed pulley. As you can see, the axle is firmly attached to a rigid support right at the top. The load pulls down on one side, and the effort pulls down on the other. In equilibrium, the downward load L is perfectly balanced by one upward tension T. So L equals T. The effort applied, E, also equals T. Because of that, our mechanical advantage, which is always load divided by effort, is T divided by T, which just equals 1. Our velocity ratio is also 1, because if you pull the effort down a distance d, the load moves up that exact same distance d. Now, you might be wondering, wait, if MA is 1, there's literally no mechanical gain, so why even use it? Well, the answer is simple: to change the direction of your effort. Pulling down is just way easier than pulling up, mostly because we can use our own body weight to help us out. So basically what we have learned here is that a single fixed pulley changes the direction of effort but offers zero mechanical gain.
Now this brilliantly illustrates the contrast with type 2, the single movable pulley. In this setup, notice how the pulley itself isn't attached to the ceiling. It literally moves right along with the load. As pointed out, the load is supported by two segments of string. Both of these have an upward tension T, so L equals T plus T, giving us 2T. The effort E is just you pulling on one end of the string, so E just equals T. Therefore, MA equals load over effort, which is 2T over T equaling 2. Boom, this is a force multiplier. However, there is a catch. To lift the load at distance d, you've got to pull both segments of string up by d. That means the effort actually has to move 2d. That makes the velocity ratio equal to 2. So basically what we have learned here is that a movable pulley acts as a force multiplier, but the trade-off is you have to pull double the distance.
Let's put them head to head. Now listen up, this summary table is very important for the exam point of view. For a single fixed pulley, the axis is fixed to a rigid support, the ideal MA is 1, and the velocity ratio is 1. Its primary use? To change the direction of effort, and the load moves in the opposite direction to the effort. Now, for a single movable pulley, it's not fixed, it moves with the load, the ideal MA is 2, the velocity ratio is 2, and it acts as a force multiplier where the load actually moves in the same direction as the effort. But definitely take note of the real-world warning there. The weight of the movable pulley itself actually reduces its MA. It is never perfectly ideal in real life. So basically what we have learned here is a direct side-by-side comparison of the key features of fixed and movable pulleys.
Section 3. Combining pulleys, the hybrid.
Okay, so the crucial point here is addressing a pretty major core problem. A movable pulley is awesome because its MA is 2, but applying effort upwards is incredibly awkward and inconvenient. Just imagine trying to pull up a massive heavy box while standing directly above it. Not fun, right? The solution? We combine a movable pulley A with a fixed pulley B. The fixed pulley B just cleanly redirects the force. The MA remains 2, and the velocity ratio remains 2. As the result clearly states, we multiply our force by 2 while conveniently pulling downwards. Best of both worlds. Basically, what we have learned here is how to combine pulleys to multiply force by 2 while safely and conveniently pulling downwards.
Section 4. Scaling up. Complex systems.
Now we're scaling up. Here is System 1, which uses separate strings. Let's trace the math step by step from the bottom up. Start at the bottom load, L. Pulley A supports it with 2 strings, so 2 times T1 equals L, which means T1 equals L over 2. Make sense? Now move up. Pulley B supports T1 with 2 strings, so 2 times T2 equals T1, meaning T2 equals L over 4, or L over 2 squared. Move up one more time. Pulley C supports T2 with 2 strings, so 2 times T3 equals T2, meaning T3 equals L over 8, or L over 2 cubed. The effort E is just T3. Notice how the tension gets exponentially smaller in each higher string. We use this formula when dealing with these kinds of separate string setups for movable pulleys. MA equals 2 to the power of n, and the velocity ratio equals 2 to the power of n. So basically what we have learned here is how tension halves with each higher string in a separate string system.
Next up is System 2, the famous block and tackle. Here we have an upper block, which is completely fixed to a rigid support, and a lower block, which is movable and actually holds the load. The real magic of this system is that it uses one single, strong, continuous string. Pay special attention to the routing rule highlighted here. If the total number of pulleys is even, you tie the string to the upper block. If it's odd, you tie it to the lower block to ensure you're pulling downwards at the end. It's a neat little trick. Basically, what we have learned here is the physical setup and the crucial routing rules for building a block and tackle system.
And honestly, the math for the block and tackle is incredibly elegant. Like the title says, just count the strands. Let's focus on the lower block for a second. How many string segments are directly supporting it? Let's call that number n. Counting the red arrows we see right here, n equals 5. The upward force balancing the load is L equals n times t, or 5t in this specific case. The downward effort E is just t, because remember, it's all one single string. Therefore, MA is L over E, which is nt over t, which simply equals n. So MA equals n, the total number of pulleys in both blocks. And your velocity ratio equals n as well. The bottom line is wonderfully simple. Want to lift 5 times the weight? Use 5 pulleys. Basically, what we have learned here is that your mechanical advantage in a block and tackle simply equals the total number of pulleys.
Section 5, the golden rule.
We've arrived at the fundamental truth of this entire system. Pulleys are force multipliers, they are not energy multipliers. As they say, there is no free lunch in physics. Work in, which is your effort times the distance moved, so N times D equals NAD. Work out, which is the load times the distance moved, just D, can be found since L equals NE. So work out is NE times D, which also equals NAD. Therefore, work in exactly equals work out. For ideal efficiency, symbolized by the Greek letter eta, it's MA divided by VR, which is N over N, giving us exactly 100%. But you have to keep in mind the real-world note here. Friction in the bearings, plus the actual physical weight of the lower block and string, means your actual efficiency is always going to be less than 100%. Basically, what we have completely learned here today is that pulleys multiply our force, but never our energy. So next time you see a massive crane lifting tons of steel, ask yourself, just how many strings are pulling up on that load?